The Machida Stadium is the venue for tonight's AFC Champions League Elite clash between Machida Zelvia of Japan and Melbourne City of Australia. This is how the league stage looks in the Eastern Zone. Machida Zelvia in fourth, Melbourne City just outside the qualification places at the moment. It's a rather chilly but clear night in the western part of the Tokyo metropolis. 12 degrees is the temperature at the moment, but a healthy contingent of home supporters has braved the cold, and one or two from Australia as well. On two clubs with relatively little pedigree in Asia's top club competition, but Machida Zelvia have made a good fist of their debut in the tournament. One win and two draws from their opening three matches, including a very impressive 2-0 victory at Shanghai Port last time out. And if they can register a first home win, then the knockout stage will be very much within reach. As for Melbourne City, they were staring down the barrel at 3 consecutive defeats as they trailed Buriram United with just a few minutes remaining in Melbourne last time out. But they managed to turn it around and earn a first win for an Australian club in this competition in 2 years. And they've started their domestic campaign in solid enough fashion as well, unbeaten in 3. So they head here to Japan high in confidence of gaining another good result. The history books do favour the J-League outfits, though. No Australian team has managed to beat J-League opposition since Melbourne Victory edged out the Kashima Antlers back in 2020. And with Zelvia unbeaten in 13 home matches in all competitions, no doubt this will be a tough trip for the A-League champions. Both teams involved in goalless draws domestically at the weekend. Zelvia held 0-0 by Urawa Red Diamonds, and Melbourne City similarly goalless in their trip to Queensland to face Brisbane Roar. Machida Zelvia, of course, quite the story in Japan. They've only been in the J-League for a couple of seasons, and their crowds have shot up from an average of 1,302 in 2020 to over 17,000 last season. It's been a remarkable rise, and of course they were leading the J-League for a decent portion of last season before eventually falling away, if you could call it that, to finish third. A finish which booked their place for the very first time in the AFC Champions League Elite. City slightly more experienced. This is their third AFC Champions League campaign, but they are yet to make it out of the group stage. They've been a little bit unlucky. They haven't lost too many games, and paying the price for rather too many draws in their previous 2 attempts to make it through to the knockout stage. They make quite the noise, the home fans. The name Zelvia, by the way, is a portmanteau of 2 words: Zelkova, which is the official tree of Machida, and Salvia, which is the official flower of this part of Tokyo as well. Portmanteaus very popular in Japan. They've had quite the rise. They were playing in the 3rd tier in Japan as recently as 2015. Having a decent season this time around as well. Not quite in contention for the title. That draw at Urawa at the weekend probably put to an end any faint hopes they had of lifting a maiden J-League crown. They lie in 6th domestically with 57 points from their 35 games. Melbourne City, 1 win and 2 draws from their opening 3 matches in the A-League. They're tucked in third spots domestically, but it is progress in Asia that their owners, the Wealthy City Football Group, really desire. Let's see if they can take a big step towards that here in Japan this evening. The official anthem of the AFC Champions League. And a rather youthful looking Melbourne City 11 taking to the field tonight. Big tests for their youngsters against the rather more experienced Machida Zelvia. Let's check on the team news then. A couple of changes for Machida Zelvia from the 11 that started against Urawa at the weekend. No place for Mitch Duke in the squad, which suggests an injury. And Shota Fujio reverts to the bench. In come the two Koreans, Na Sang-ho and Oh Se-hun. And that 11 contains 8 full internationals. Henry Mochizuki and Yuki Soma were part of the Japan squad that clinched that famous win over Brazil in the recent Kirin Cup. And Tomoki Imai stands by for his Machida debut off the bench after leaving Western United in Australia. He faced City in last year's finals. Our referee, Abdullah Almari, 32 years of age from Qatar. Very experienced on the international stage. And the two skippers, Nathaniel Atkinson of Melbourne City and Gen Shoji of Machida Zelvia. Looks as though Zelvia won the toss as we check out the Melbourne City lineup, which shows 5 changes from the 11 that started in Brisbane at the weekend. In come Harrison Shillington, Emin Durakovic, Zane Schreiber, Kabian Romani and Beckham Baker. Socceroos Aziz Bayic and Matt Leckie did not travel. Samuel Supriyan and Elbahan Brashani are injured as well. Kutleshi, Bonatic, Mazeo and Kanamori dropped to the bench. A bench that also includes the fit again Andrew Naboot and potential debutant Isaiah Boston. Well, the temperatures starting to plummet across the northern parts of Asia. These are good conditions for football. Andreas Kuhn, who played in the Europa League in his days with Austrian clubs, will relish these sorts of conditions. Zane Schreiber there, who got his first A-League goal a week or two back with an absolute howitzer against Perth Glory in the domestic competition. Given a key role in midfield today. And there's the veteran captain of Machida Zelvia, Gen Shoji. 20 caps for Japan. Although he's not played for the national team since 2021. So it is Machida Zelvia who get us underway in the all dark blue strip. A potentially pivotal 90 minutes ahead. A win for the home side, and they will be firm favourites to progress to the knockout phase on debut. City looking to win back-to-back games in the Champions League Elite and defeat Japanese opposition for the very first time. It's the 5th occasion they've played a J-League opponent. 2 draws, 2 losses. Oh, this is cooling be an own goal here. What an absolute disaster for Machida Zelvia. The captain, Gen Shoji, with the back pass, which caught his keeper, Kosei Tani, completely unawares. And within a minute, Melbourne City have been given a free gift. Absolutely extraordinary from such an experienced player, but the goalkeeper must share part of the blame. He was outside his penalty area, and the pass back just had a little bit too much petrol on it. Well, we're still some weeks away from Christmas, but an early present for Melbourne City. And Gen Shoji, who won this competition with the Kashima Antlers in 2018 with a big mistake. Kick by Harrison Shillington, just as he was looking to launch the ball forward for a Melbourne City attack. And does that change the approach now of Melbourne City? Something to defend very early on in the game. Something that Aurelio Vidmar, the Melbourne City coach, no doubt will be immensely grateful for. We don't expect that sort of an error, that sort of a mix-up between 2 experienced Japanese international. Kosei Tani, who also played for the national team. There is the Machida Zelvia manager, Go Kuruda, the 55-year-old, who was a high school teacher until he was plucked out of obscurity and given the task of taking on the job at Machida, and he duly led them to the J-League, winning the J2 title in 2023. And you can see 2 protagonists in the own goal, still looking somewhat dazed, not quite able to believe what has just happened. Here is Nathaniel Atkinson playing in that unfamiliar left-back role again. He played there at the weekend against Brisbane with regular first pick and captain Aziz Bayic out with injury. Here is Shoji Nakayama. Ball let run for Yuki Soma, but Ferreira was there for Melbourne City. Mochizuki losing out. Atkinson. He'll get the throw off the Korean. O.C. Hun. There is Aurelio Vidmar, who played in Japan back in the late 90s for Sanfrecce Hiroshima. And of course, he famously led Adelaide United to the final of this competition in 2008, where they were beaten by, yeah, you guessed it, J-League opposition in the shape of Gamba Osaka. Touch by Hiroyuki Mai, straight at a Melbourne City player. Rather shaky start by the home side. lost a home match in any competition, by the way, since they were beaten 3-0 by Yokohama F. Marinos back at the end of May. Since then, 10 wins, 3 draws, no defeats. But they trail here. Osei-hun nipping in ahead of his marker. Strong run here by Yuki Soma. And in the end, it's well wide off the boot of Osei-hun. The first real attack that's been able to be constructed by Machida Zelvia. Osei-hun could do with a goal. Hasn't scored since August. He was the man who put it on a plate for him, Asahi Masayama, who's more normally a right wing back, but operating on the left today. Sent long by Kosetani. Kai Truan, who's another one who's had a change of position today. Playing in central defence, where he played most of last season, in fairness. Equally adept in midfield. Atkinson. Max Caputo trying to hold the ball up. He's in great form at the moment, by the way. 4 goals in 5 matches in all competitions. And of course, it was here got the late winner against Buriram last time out. Now Schreiber's been shrugged off the ball, but unfairly so. Schreiber. All the way back to Patrick Beach. He turns 23 later this month. And Caputo will reach this one. It's a good little opening that for Melbourne City, one they didn't really make the most of. Atkinson going down the line, looking for Romani. Mochizuki is there. And it's going to be a Melbourne City corner. Another rather uncharacteristic lapse defensively by Machida Zelvia. It's going to be young Beckham Baker to deliver the corner. City have got plenty of height forward for the set piece. Back post is Ferreira, who did reach it too. Masayama to carry it forward for the home side. Atkinson across to provide cover. This is Ibrahim Drasovic, Swedish born, but who plays for the Kosovan national team. Soma. Atkinson goal side of Masayama. Slightly behind Schreiber, and possession is turned over. This is Na Sang-ho. Can have a go here. That was a really good try from the Korean. Drove towards the edge of the Melbourne City area. The angle was rather acute. He packed plenty of punch behind that effort. Oh, might have taken a touch off Patrick Beach. In the end, it goes down. That's a very good save. Dresovic using his tall frame to try and block out the sun or the floodlights for Patrick Beach. Referee Abdullah Albari keeping a watchful eye on what's going on just in front of the Melbourne City goalkeeper. Kuhn trying to keep Dresovic at bay towards that near post error. Oh, Beach with another fine reaction stop. Back out for Na Sang Ho. Cross towards the back post, and the header was tame in the end from Masayama. And Machida Zelvia starting to warm to their task after that early shock. Here's the corner, and again it's just a great reaction from Beach to keep it out off the head of Osei Hood. Be a busy night for the Melbourne City goalkeeper as Harrison Shillington lifts the ball out of play. We're going to see the long throw from Asahi Masayama. Towel strategically placed. Osei Hood is one potential target, Dresovic another. He finds Shillington, and that header didn't really go where the fullback wanted it to. Corner for the home team. Yuki Soma, who is Machida's top scorer with 11 in all competitions this season, one of which was the second goal in that 2-0 away win against Shanghai Port in the last Champions League game. His corner, seen out by Beckham Baker. Soma nicely disguised, and the cross might yet pay dividends for Machida Zelvia. Shot from Nakayama, charged down. Nathaniel Atkinson, one of the experienced heads today for City. That could be crucial. Masayama thinking about the long throw. There he is with a more conventional delivery. Ball from Na Sang Ho, found his teammate not quite on the same wavelength. Well, that own goal, just the second that Go Karuda's team has conceded in this year's Champions League. FC Seoul, the only other team to find a way through. Sprayed out wide by Kosetani. Masayama. Dresovic. Nicely disguised for Hiroyuki Mai. Masayama. And again. It's forced out of the penalty area by the strength of Ferreira. Baker looking for an option. A little difficult for Melbourne City to get out, but they've got a throw. Machida just started to edge ahead in the possession stakes. Forward by Mochizuki. Off the head of Oh Se-hun, but plenty of time for Shillington. Atkinson. Driving the run forward, but a poor pass at the end of it from the City captain. Dresovic, Shoji, and Nakayama. Masayama. Mai. Shoji. Dresovic should push forward down the right. Melbourne City trying to hold their shape. And a foul by Caputo in the end. Nakayama looking for the switch. And Mochizuki was onto it. And we'll get his team a corner. Haruki Mochizuki, 5 times capped for the Japanese national team, also of Nigerian descent through his father. Shimoda to take the corner. And there's the usual jostling for position. Goes back post and headed wide by again Shoji. Would love to atone for that early own goal. Just put off slightly by his opposition captain, Nathaniel Atkinson. Durakovic back through Ferreira. Truin. Durakovic. Romani. Better progress made by Melbourne City. Kewen turning back. Atkinson to get moving forward again. And brought to ground by Mochizuki. In fact, the whistle's gone the other way. And Nathaniel Atkinson has a bit to say about that. He was involved in a little bit of a melee at the weekend in the domestic league as well, with Yorgos Vrakas of Brisbane Roar. And that conversation is not quite finished. Nathaniel Atkinson would be wise to keep his counsel from this point on. Radio Vidmar not happy either, but Abdullah Almari clearly judging that Nathaniel Atkinson took a rather over the theatrical dive. Machida looking to apply the press. Another free kick in favour of Machida Zelvia. Kuhn on Mai this time. Just a little bump. Nakayama. Soma. Getting away from Shillington. Hanging it up towards Mochizuki, who attempted to play in a teammate. Might have been better off trying to go for goal. Lovely ball from Soma. Maybe the two Machida Zelvia players got in each other's way somewhat. Early goal, an own goal from Gen Shoji in the very first minute of the game. The difference between the two sides. Flicked on by Kuhn. Back with Dresovic. Sent wide for Soma. In towards the near post, they're queuing up. Into the back of the net it goes. Henry Mochizuki with the finish. And Melbourne City's advantage is wiped out. And you have to say, it had been coming. Soma managed to stay onside. It was another lovely cross, and again they were queuing up. And Mochizuki almost apologetically with the left-footed effort that curls past Patrick Beach. Nothing he could do. It's his second goal in the Champions League Elite. He scored Machida's very first goal in the competition against FC Seoul on match day 1. VAR is checking to make sure that there is no offside, of course. But to the naked eye, it would appear that Soma was on. And we shall see. It looks to me as though German Ferreira is playing Soma onside. And of course VAR has different angles that they will be checking. The man in charge, Mashari Ali Al-Shamari of Qatar. And there is to be no reprieve for Melbourne City. So Henry Mochizuki's goal stands. And the visitors' early advantage is no more. And I dare say Gen Shoji is the most relieved man inside Machida Stadium. That's how tight it was. A little bit closer than I thought at first glance, but Soma onside by a hair's breadth, and he was the profiteer. Shoji going long off the head of Osehun. Mochizuki waiting for the ball to drop, but Atkinson dealt with it. Kai Truin. Kept in play, or was it? No, by Mochizuki. Just 24 years of age, Henry Mochizuki. Played 12 minutes for the Japanese national team in that historic win over Brazil in the Kirin Cup. There he was up against a certain Rodrigo of Real Madrid. He was modest enough, Mochizuki that is, to say he's got a lot to learn. His goal has squared the ledger here. City have played themselves into a spot of bother again. Soma blazes the ball over the top. Beach to go long to look for Caputo. He was being impeded by Shoji. Truin looking to send the ball over the top for Romani. Dresovic straining every sinew to make sure that wasn't a possibility. Brought down by Kuhn. Romani. City throw. He got his first A-League goal against Perth Glory in the 4-0 win in Melbourne. Weekend before the one just gone. One of several young players that has made the breakthrough. Kuhn's cross. Baker first to react. Ball will break here for Zane Schreiber. Not quite a repeat of his wonder strike against Perth. A shot for Aurelio Vidmar's team, nonetheless. They've not had many of those. In fact, I fancy that might be their first one, even though they are on the scoreboard, of course, via an own goal. Romani. Atkinson. Schreiber looking to angle it out towards Romani, but a little bit too strong for the winger. Sliced out of play off the boot of Kosetani. Machida Zelvia started to show the sort of confidence of a team that's only lost 2 of their last 23 games in all competitions. They also won through to the semi-finals of the Emperor's Cup, and of course they've never won a major trophy aside of that J2 League Championship in 2023. So they'll be keen to get some silverware on the board. Here's Caputo. Kuhn showed too much of it to Masuyama. Osei-hun. Wrestled to the floor by Germán Ferreira. No stranger to continental competition. Germán Ferreira played in the Copa Sudamericana during his days in Argentina. Romani just got away from Kuhn. Now Melbourne City have got to regroup because it's Soma again on the left. Yuki Soma, dangerous ball in, and Ferreira had to take evasive action. Osei-hun just lurking behind him, waiting for any slip-up by the Argentine. Soma with the corner. Along the floor. And it came off Mochizuki last, and behind for a goal kick. City were eager to get on with it, but referee had other ideas. Beach finding Kuhn with a real grass roller. Sure he connected fully with that piece of distribution, but it worked. Kuhn. Romani. This looks promising for Melbourne City. Schreiber. Shillington. Baker. Poor cross at the end. This is Shimoda. Now some room for Masayama. City players scurrying back. Na Sang-ho. Cross pops out for Shimoda. Na Sang-ho into the box. Partly away by Emin Durakovic. Shimoda, Nakayama, Soma. Looking to get around Shillington. He's done so with ease. And Osei-hun. And it's volleyed away by Ferreira. Melbourne City really need to do something about Matsuyama on the left. Maybe Mochizuki on the right here as well. Ball's coming back at them repeatedly. Na Sang-ho. Cross towards Osei-hun. And Kai Truan didn't know too much about that, but he got the important touch which sent it behind for a corner. Nicely flighted in by Okuto Shimoda. Osei-hun's aerial presence, always a threat. This is Machida Zelvia's 5th corner. Everybody keep an eye on Osei-hun. Atkinson gets it clear. Volleyed back in. Spectacularly too by Na Sang-ho, and it took a deflection on the way through, which could have so easily done for Patrick Beach. 2 deflections. Did actually strike the arm of Max Caputo, but I'm pretty sure this will be ruled out for a possible penalty. The arms were well tucked into the body. Not making himself unnaturally bigger. There we are. No penalty is the verdict. Still the corner to come, though. Rather too flat from Mai, and offside against Mochizuki. Is that previous cross from Soma which led to the goal for Henry Mochizuki. Very nonchalant finish. Yuki Soma has caused Melbourne City a lot of grief down that left-hand side. A little slip by Shoji, and Andreas Kuhn is in behind. Romani not quite up with the play on the opposite flank. Kuhn, Schreiber. Still might work out for Melbourne City. It was a strong challenge from Dresevic on Romani. Clearly won the ball. Also taking down Romani on his follow-through. Emin Jurakovic with Melbourne City's corner. Oh, it's a weak punch by Kosotani. Helped out by his teammates, and then a miscue by Atkinson. Comedy of errors from both teams. And that win for Melbourne City last time out against Buriram. Ended a 12-game winless streak for Australian clubs in this competition. They're looking to go ahead again here. Andreas Kuhn gets a second bite at the cherry. Baker, Atkinson. Needs a good delivery. It's not bad. It's just over the head of Caputo. Caputo not quite able to reel that ball in. Otherwise, City might well have been on for a decent looking attack there. Shillington completely missed timing his run. Here's the dangerous Yuki Soma. Blocked by Ferreira. And it comes for Shimoda. Nakayama. Shimoda. Patient from Machida Zelvia. Here's the goal scorer, Mochizuki. Back through Dresevic. Tani well out of his area. Mopped up by Kai Truin for Melbourne City. Kuhn's header went backwards rather than forwards. Mochizuki getting the better of Baker. Here goes Soma again. He's given Shillington a torrid time down that flank. And finds the cross. They were queuing up once again. Machida Zelvia. Dresovic stepping forward. Back through Hiroyuki Mai. Nakayama. Well, the return pass from Na Sang-ho wasn't the best. And there could be a counter on here. Here's Max Caputo, big chance for Melbourne City. And he's hit it straight at Kosetani. Maybe just reaching for it a little bit, Max Caputo. Something out of nothing, really. And a presentable opportunity for the Australian outfit. As Masayama gets going down the left for Machida Zelvia. Shimoda. Mai. Mochizuki. Plays it forward for Na Sang-ho, but the return wasn't the best from the Korean. Durakovic nearly turning into trouble. Truin turning away from it. Kuhn just complaining that he got an arm to the back of the head. And there we go, 11 shots to 2. And yet the scoreline remains level. Just the one shot on target, which came some moments ago via Max Caputo for Melbourne City. Patrick Beach at the other end has made 2 pretty good saves. Atkinson losing out. Na Sang-ho getting the throw-in off Beckham Baker. Masayama. Quite the same success in attacking Harrison Shillington as Yuki Soma. Nakayama. They work the triangle well there. Here is Soma. Shimoda. Nakayama. Soma, 4 weight in the box. Too close to Beach. And it's a real live wire, isn't it, Yuki Soma? Had a little spell overseas, a couple of years in Portugal with Casa Pia. And the second minute of 3 to be added on at the end of the opening 45. I dare say Melbourne City will be happier of the two teams to get back in the dressing room with the score still level, if that's the way it stays. Illegal climbing by Osei Hun. Ten times capped by the Korean Republic. Scored for his national team in the November window against Kuwait. Having quite the battle with German Ferreira. Truin to go all the way back. Touched by Kuhn. Driven back by Nakayama. Mai. Mochizuki. Na Sang-ho crowded out and put out by Baker. And that is half-time. First 45 that's been dominated really by Machida Zelvia, and they got the equaliser through Henry Mochizuki after again Shoji, their captain, had inexplicably put through his own goal in the opening minute of the game. It's been tough going for Melbourne City. They have hung in there. Max Caputo's had one chance just before half-time that he put straight at Kosetani. But most of the action's been at the other end, where Patrick Beach has made two very good point-blank saves. At Melbourne City, the happier of the two teams to get in at half-time with the scores still level. A point away from home, they would probably see as a very good result. And a big 45 minutes coming up at the break in Japan. It's all square. Machida Zelvia 1, Melbourne City 1. Well, Melbourne City back out early and about to make a change. And coming on, a player that knows this neck of the woods pretty well, Takeshi Kanamori. He was actually a teammate of Gen Shoji, scorer of tonight's opening goal, inadvertently, when the pair won the Champions League with Kashima Antlers back in 2018. He was an off-season arrival at Melbourne City, and he is on for the second half. Machida Zelvia done well to recover from that horror start, courtesy of their captain. They have racked up double figures in terms of shots. They managed to grab an equaliser thanks to that man there, Henry Haruki Mochizuki. Looks as though Beckham Baker is the player to be replaced for Melbourne City, and Kanamori immediately trying to get into the action, but it's a little bit too high for him. There he is, 31 years of age, formerly with Avispa Fukuoka. Kashima Antlers, as mentioned, Sagan Tosu, the third Japanese player to represent Melbourne City after Tsubasa Endo and Naoki Tsubaki. Harrison Shillington has forced the second half's first corner off Masuyama. Eager to do well, no doubt, back in the land of his birth. Before the corner, a little bit more sorting out to do for referee Abdullah Almadi. So much jiggling about, Kuhn barely moving, now he does. Away by Mochizuki. Kanamori completely missing his kick, but not the second time. Straight through to Koseitani. First, a complete mishap. The second one, no bother for the Machida Zelvia goalkeeper. Sang Ho was the meat and the sandwich of two Melbourne City defenders. Got the slightest of bumps from Kai Truen. This is Nakayama. Given away, though, carelessly by Masuyama. Shillington. Kanamori. Shillington will reach this one. Not to any great effect. Harrison Shillington, who's played only 1 minute of domestic league football, was off the bench in City's opening weekend draw with Western Sydney Wanderers in the A-League. Starting back-to-back games in the AFC Champions League Elite. Ferreira taking charge. Off the head of Shillington, over the head of Caputo. Ferreira beaten in the air by Osehun. Drops though for Schreiber. Romani. Truen all the way back for Patrick Beach. Two players have fallen awkwardly there, Nakayama and Kuhn. Nakayama from the fall, and on the way down he accidentally caught Andreas Kuhn. Just that knee to the hip of the Austrian. Leaving Kuhn a little groggy. Shoji. Sliced out of play by Kosetani. Very much a fixture in the Japanese national squad, although he is ostensibly the national number 3. He's won 3 caps for his country. Kanamori manages to find a path through to Caputo, but the big striker's offside. Max Caputo's record in this competition, pretty good. 4 games, 2 goals. That winner against Buriram last time out, also won against Zhejiang in 2023. Atkinson almost caught by Mochizuki. Good pressure applied by the Machida Zelvia goalscorer. Nakayama. Masayama's touch. Ferreira intervenes. Kanamori. And Kuhn managed to do well and slip the ball through for Durakovic. This is Ramani. Atkinson. Schreiber. Ferreira. Happy to turn back. Melbourne City, who've lost twice to J-League opposition already in this year's AFC Champions League Elite. 2-0 at home to Sanfrecce Hiroshima, when they were still out of season domestically, and then perhaps a little bit unfortunate to concede a very late goal away to Vissel Kobe. The only goal of the match in that one. So they've at least registered a goal against J-League opposition tonight, albeit they haven't actually scored it. Home fans trying to lift their team. Capacity of only 15,000 this stadium. As Ferreira hooks the ball out for a throw, which Mochizuki takes. Shoji. Masayama. Mochizuki. Back post arriving was Soma. And Beach had to punch under pressure from Osehun. Stolen back by Dresevic. Soma. Nakayama not quite able to go beyond Ferreira. Nakayama. Soma. That's a clever ball. Masayama looking for a teammate at the back post. Mai will reload it. And the shot forces another superb save out of Patrick Beach. Na Sang-ho denied. And that one really packed a punch. That's 3 really good saves Patrick Beach has made. Good strong right arm to deny the Korean. Here's the corner. Thumped away by Kanamori. Soma, seen a lot of the ball tonight. That's a foul though on Caputo. Nakayama just overreaching. He's got a yellow card for that as well, the first one of the evening. Nakayama, who had spells in Europe with Pexwola and Huddersfield Town, before returning back to his homeland in 2024. Here he is on the ball, appearing in his first AFC Champions League campaign in 7 years. Soma released down the left. It's not his best cross of the night. Nakayama once again. He was actually selected for Japan's World Cup squad in 2022, but had to withdraw due to an Achilles injury. That's a foul by Schreiber. Chance for Gen Shoji to make his way forward. Been a busy man this evening, Patrick Beach. 2 good saves in the first half and now 1 in the second. Free kick from Shimoda, but Oh Se-hun not quite able to link up with his captain. Again, might have been forgiven for going for goal himself. Big target man who's won 10 caps for the Korean Republic. That was travelling a bit in the air as well off the boot of Na Sang-ho. Kanamori. Good use of the body. Sends Durakovic wider than he wanted. Atkinson. And a throw in off Hiroyuki Mai. Oh, given away by Schreiber. Mai got the feet sorted pretty quickly. And look at Soma at the back post. And credit to Shillington, who was aware of that danger. Go Karuda. Hopeful that his team can hit the front for the first time tonight. They've certainly threatened to. Little drag of the ball, but it was a tactic perhaps to fool Melbourne City, thinking that they might be going for the long throw. Mochizuki clattering into the back of Kavian Romani. So far, Melbourne City have resisted. Can they create something at the other end? Soma coming back from an offside position. Beach's distribution is not the best. Put forward by Durakovic. Machida Zelvia quickly back in control of the football. Tani's ball forward. Soma. Lovely switch of play. Mochizuki. That's got the fans on their feet. Na Sang-ho in the channel. Atkinson across. Well defended. Just under half an hour to run. Is it going to be 3 draws out of 4 for Machida Zelvia? Masayama brought to ground by Shillington. Those two have had quite the battle. Shoji. Nothing Mochizuki could do. Oh, that was a risky ball by Shillington. In the end, Patrick Beach smothers it and gives his right fullback the long, hard stare. That was not the right pass. Melbourne City get away with it. Mochizuki driven backwards by Atkinson. Tani to go the more direct route, flicked on by Osehun. Na Sang-ho, long way out, well wide in the end. He's probably due a goal as well. Hasn't scored since August when he got one against Kawasaki Frontale. His Korean teammates. Osehun in a similar barren patch of form. He last scored against Cerezo Osaka in the same month. Shimoda really have much control over that release. Shoji. Schreiber. Kuhn. Romani. way back with Ferreira. Shillington. Schreiber closed down very quickly. Sorted out by Truin. Beach to go long, but rather aimlessly so. Might drop here though for Romani. Atkinson takes control. Drifting forwards, nice ball too. Here's Max Caputo. Side netting for Melbourne City. They fashioned it well, the visitors. Atkinson's mazy little dribble. Nice release, and Caputo got the wrong side of Nakayama. Just off target with the effort in the end. Radio Vidmar appreciating that. And he led them to their second A-League championship last season, defeating great rivals Melbourne Victory in the grand final. They'll play the same opposition, by the way, this weekend. Meantime, Masayama's cross. Flicked off the head of Ferreira. Durakovic to clear upfield. Was a foul by Kuhn, but advantage played as Machida Zelvia have the ball. Nakayama. Soma. Caputo straight into the midriff of Shimoda. Now a bit of space for Yuki Soma. Who can have a run at Shillington. Low delivery, Schreiber scoops it behind for a corner. Soma sends up the signal. Goes back post, a good punch away by Beach. And that's a really good save again by Patrick Beach. To deny the same player, Na Sang Ho, yet again on the follow-up. That was angling into the roof of the net, you fancy. Great hit. Great save. Having their own personal battle, those two. Midway point of the second half. Shimoda's corner. And again, Beach there to fist the ball clear. Recycled through Shimoda. Now Sang Ho is desperately trying to stay onside. Just not on the same page as his teammate. Andrew Naboot's being readied by assistant coach Scott Jamieson of Melbourne City. He's only just back to first team action after a year out. A lengthy injury problem. Man who led the Australian national team attack at the 2018 World Cup in Russia. Given that long injury layoff, probably only good for 20 minutes or so, which is all that remains. Good climb by Ferreira. Dresevic. Comfortable for Shillington. A rather loose touch from Schreiber. Invites further pressure on Melbourne City. Before that, we are going to see that change, and Max Caputo, who's had a couple of opportunities, one in the first half that went straight at the goalkeeper and one in the second that went into the side netting, is replaced by Andrew Nabbout. Got 17 minutes off the bench against Brisbane domestically at the weekend, Andrew Nabbout. And a scorer of a couple of Champions League goals for Melbourne City in their 2022 campaign. One against BG Pathum United, one against Jonham Dragons. He's really struggled with injury the last season or two. No doubt in his quality when he's fit. This is Hiroyuki Mai. Soma. Cleverly out wide for Masayama. Soma opening up. Passing lane wasn't quite there though, cut out by Romani. Here's Kanamori. City having to work hard to make progress upfield. Nabbout. Jurakovic. And now Atkinson, their captain. Truin. Kuhn. Dinking towards Andrew Nabbout, and then there was a push by Atkinson on Na Sang-ho. Free kick for Machida Zelvia. Go Karuda's team. Has Korean opposition up next in this tournament. Gangwon away, followed by Ulsan at home. And then two teams from China to finish off. Shanghai Shenhua away and Chengdu Rongcheng at home. Before all that, they've got a double header to come against FC Tokyo. One in the league and one in the semi-finals of the Emperor's Cup. Big occasion that for Machida Zelvia. No way forward for Romani. As for Melbourne City, as mentioned, they've got the big Melbourne derby at the weekend, and then they travel to Adelaide before a home game with Johor in the Champions League. Oh, Kanamori. Completely mistimed that one on Soma. Soma just inquiring as to whether there might be a yellow card for that. Went right through him. Thankfully, I think he saw him coming, so managed to get out of the way. Mochizuki. Handball against the Japanese international. Melbourne City have had to fight really hard to stay on level terms. The goalkeeper's done very well for them. Just had the odd sniff at the other end. One effort by Kanamori. One effort by Caputo that went into the side netting. We are fast heading towards the final quarter of an hour. Here's Ken Shoji. Shimoda. Soma. Little give and go with Shimoda. Opens up the space. The cutback's nice as well. And the shot by Nakayama deflects away off Ferreira for another Machida Zelvia corner. Brings Shoji forward for Soma's delivery. Beach again there to punch. City looking to spring a counter-attack, but Kanamori didn't quite link up with Kuhn. Mochizuki. Mai. Shoji almost playing as an attacking midfielder now. The Machida Zelvia captain. That was a good stretch by Truan to prevent that one from getting through. And then a foul on Andreas Kuhn. And we're going to see a change here. And the goal scorer is to take his leave. Henry Hiroki Mochizuki. There's how it happened. And his replacement is Kotaro Hayashi. There's the new man, who's famed for his long throws, so maybe watch out for those. They've shaped to do a couple of those. Machida Zelvia without ever really delivering. Awkward fall for Oh Se-hun. Little bang to the hip off Kai Truitt. Double change imminent for Melbourne City. Peter Antonio and Ben Mazzeo. Two players who've come through their youth system. They should be with us next break in play. Beach launches it. Might drop here for Kanamori. Sat long by Dresovic, and Oh Se-hun down again. Similar sort of challenge to one some moments ago by Kai Truitt. Again, no whistle. Here's Romani. Across the face, and Melbourne City will have a corner off Hayashi. A rare corner for the visitors. Managed to stay on side. Nobody really gambling in City Blue. There's the two changes. Ben Mazzeo, who's an attacking winger who likes to zip around. Peter Antonio is a left-back by trade, so I'd imagine that's where he'd go. Nathaniel Atkinson would switch over to the right. Here's Kanamori, handy cross, away by Shoji. Back in by Atkinson. Brought down by Kanamori. Heading towards the last 10 minutes. Melbourne City have had to absorb a fair bit of pressure. Can they create something here? Whilst we have the chance, a little shout out to the legend of the game. He's just left Melbourne City as a coach. Alessandro Diamanti really lit up the A-League in Australia during his days with Western United. Latterly a youth team coach who's brought many of these, or helped to bring many of these players through for City. He's heading back to Italy to complete his UEFA Pro licence. And Australia, I'm sure, will miss him. Great character. Schreiber. And that will find its way through for Ben Mazzeo. Didn't get a second go at it, Ben Mazzeo, but in the end hustled out of it. Cleared upfield by Dresevic. Chested down by Ferreira. Schreiber. In a rare period of territorial dominance for the A-League outfit. A little too high for Andrew de Boot, and there's activity on the Machida Zelvia bench as well. It's going to be a like-for-like change for the home side. Osei-hun, who's toiled hard today, takes his leave. Shota Fujio is his replacement. Scorer of 6 goals in all competitions this season for Machida. Very much a different type of centre-forward for these closing minutes. Dresevic. The substitutes won that header. Na Sang-ho will play in Soma. Yuki Soma, deflection, and Beach did really well to keep it out. Still there for Machida. Na Sang-ho appeals for handball against Truitt, still not clear. Soma, and the cross headed away by Truitt and further clear by Andreas Kuhn. And once again, Patrick Beach with a big save for Melbourne City. Well, it could have been 3 or 4-1, but for the young goalkeeper, he has been excellent today. And City might profit from that. Kuhn finding Kanamori. Atkinson. And Romani had drifted towards the near post. Well, that's 4 by my counts. Huge saves he's made today. And that one perhaps the best of the lot, given that it took a bit of a deflection. He was going the wrong way. Had to readjust instantly and did so brilliantly. little wonder he was called up to the Socceroos World Cup development squad for one of their camps earlier on in the year. Very much one for the future. Here's Soma. Still more work to do potentially. Na Sang-ho. Masayama. And the one-time beach is beaten. So too is the post. Masayama claiming a touch off Atkinson, and you know what? He was right, and it's a really important touch too. Otherwise, that would probably have curled in the corner. Five minutes to go. Melbourne City hanging on to what would be very hard-earned points. Clear infringement of the rules from Takeshi Kanamori. Foul against Fujio. Blocking the line of German Ferreira. Check of the watch from Go Kuruda. His team has been dominant in most aspects of the game. And they have come up against a really inspired goalkeeper. Beach to go long. Off the head of Antonio. Interesting that he's come on and stayed in that right fullback position, vacated by Harrison Shillington, with Atkinson remaining on the left. Bessian Kudlechi is going to be Melbourne City's next change. Still just 16 years of age, having returned to Melbourne City following the demise of Western United, or at least that club being put into what is being labelled hibernation for 12 months. Andreas Kuhn, the man withdrawn, became Melbourne City's youngest ever starter last weekend against Brisbane. Bessian Kudlechi is his first involvement. Kanamori. Mazeo. Losing out to Nakayama, but winning it back. And the cross, not bad, only poured away by Kosetani, but nobody arriving at the back post for Melbourne City. Nakayama. Not quite the last chance saloon for the home team, but not far off. 90 seconds of the normal 90 to run. Off the chest of Naboot, and is in position for the return. And they've got numbers in this attack. If Nabbout can find the right ball, it's not bad. And Kanamori with a golden opportunity to win all 3 points, perhaps, for Melbourne City. Well, Nabbout found him beautifully. Kanamori could only steer his header over the top of the goal. Well, that would have been the back page headline in Japan tomorrow. Japanese player returns to sink his countrymen. Shimoda has been replaced, meantime, by Keiya Sento for the last few minutes. Zeo Kutlashi having to stretch and lost his bearings and the ball. City still come away with it. Here's Andrew Nabbout. Looking back post for Romani. Atkinson, they've still got numbers in the box here. And it goes all the way through to Kosetani. Melbourne City making a late bid for all 3 points as we tick over into the first of 4 additional minutes. Tidied up by Antonio. Set long for Nabbout. Well, with the game against Johor to come at home next in the AFC Champions League Elite, Melbourne City will certainly take the point that at the moment is on offer here. They continue to build after a rather slow start. Those back-to-back losses to J-League opposition. Forward by Atkinson. Romani starting to look a little leggy. Schreiber. Here is Romani. Nicely disguised. It's going to be a late corner for Melbourne City. Could they pinch it at the end? It's going to be Takeshi Kanamori with the corner. Aerial threat to be provided by the likes of Andrew Nabbout. Mike Truan has ventured forward as well. Kosetani through a crowd of players out for another corner. Ferreira is in there as well. Very young Melbourne City team today. Ferreira sending up the signal. Zane Schreiber with the in-swinger. He mirrors that signal. Let's see if it pays off. Goalkeeper out to punch. Kanamori back in, and Nabbout off the crossbar. Did it cross the line? We play on for the moment. Andrew Nabbout adamant that the ball had gone over the line. And Melbourne City so close to an unlikely win here. Oh, that's clearly over the line. That's a goal. And he's not offside, Andrew in the boots. VAR checking all this. And the caption says possible penalty. And surely they must be checking the goal. Unless there's a foul in there somewhere. The stadium awaiting with bated breath the verdict from VAR. And a boot shot cannon down off the crossbar. And to the naked eye at least, dropped over the line. Well, long delay here while they run the rule over the pictures. Nothing that the coaches could do. And the referee urging calm in the technical zones. And really the results here all hangs on this. Melbourne City have had to absorb a lot of pressure in the second half. They've been grateful to their goalkeeper, Patrick Beach, for a string of fine saves. And they thought they'd pinched it thanks to their substitute late on. They may still yet do that. Nathaniel Atkinson saying to his teammates, keep moving. Don't stand still and get cold. There might still be a minute or two to play. Here it is again. Well, the caption's been changed to checking the disallowed goal. Well, the boot's onside, and for me, that ball is clearly over the line before it comes back out, but we'll see. Abdullah Almari still none the wiser. His compatriot Mashari Ali Al-Shamri in VAR. Still checking over the pictures. Maybe there's a communication coming now. Well, he's been asked to come and look at the screen. Well, high drama late on. And this could go on for several minutes yet. And now the caption reverts to possible penalty. There. For a handball, perhaps, against Kotaro Hayashi. Well, you can see from that angle the ball is clearly over the line when the boot fires it in off the crossbar. We're about to get a verdict, I fancy. Two captains called together for a conference. And in moments like these, I could only reiterate, if only we could hear what's going on, but you could tell from the celebrations of the Melbourne City players that the goal, somewhat belatedly, has been awarded, and I think that's the right decision. And Melbourne City look as though they're going to win this against all odds. There might still be a minute or two to play. It took an awful long time for VAR to make its mind up. But in the end, Andrew Naboot has the goal and Melbourne City have the lead. Quite why it took so long, I'm not sure. Because Naboot was clearly onside, the ball was clearly over the line. So why they were checking for a possible penalty in the midst of all of that, I've no idea. But the goal stands. And Melbourne City are on the brink of back-to-back Champions League victories thanks to their substitute, Andrew Naboot. They also stand on the brink of claiming a first win for an A-League team over J-League opposition since Melbourne Victory defeated Kashima Antlers back in the playoffs in 2020. That's how seismic tonight could be. They're not quite there yet, though. We're into the 101st minute. Soma's free kick. Machida Zelvia, desperate now. The full-time whistle goes. They have done it, Melbourne City. Andrew Naboot, after an interminable wait for VAR to review that stoppage time goal, gets the congratulations, but Patrick Beach deserves them too. He made a string of saves in the second half to keep them in it, and it's a first win for an A-League club over J-League opposition in 5 years. And Melbourne City's first ever success over a Japanese opponent as well. Back-to-back wins in this competition now for Aurelio Vidmar's team, and they should move into the qualification spots for the first time tonight in this campaign. Zelvia lose their unbeaten start on their maiden Champions League outing. An own goal from Gen Shoji in the very first minute gave them a mountain to climb. Henry Mochizuki got them all square at half-time. And then it was incessant pressure from Go Karuda's team. But what a performance between the posts by Patrick Beach for Melbourne City. 4 big saves. And then the late show from Andrew Naboot, with a bit of VAR drama thrown in as well. A seismic night in the Champions League. A huge win for Melbourne City. They have defeated Machida Zelvia on their own patch by 2 goals to 1.